This is ABC15 Mornings.
As expected, some new numbers this morning showing another 4.4 million Americans filing for unemployment benefits. Ahead, though, how our current situation does compare to the last recession.
Plus, growing pressure to open the state as other states announce plans to reopen their economies. Governor Doug Ducey says we're not there yet, but he does make a major decision regarding hospitals.
And how about this, a sporting event that is not a rerun from years ago. You know what we're talking about. It's been 43 days since games in real life across the country stopped. But today, NFL draft is kicking off, and we are excited about that. We want to know who's going to be joining our Arizona Cardinals. And as we show you these live images from State Farm Stadium, hopefully that is putting you in a good mood this morning. A lot to look forward to around here, that is for sure. But first, we want to say good morning and thank you for watching ABC 15 Mornings. I'm Kaylee O'Kelly, and our Nick Saletti is social distancing from home. Hello, my friend.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, we're so excited for that draft right here on ABC 15, and Craig Fouey's got a great lineup too. Speaking of lineups, meteorologist Iris Hermosillo, her lineup's really heating things up. At least that's the word on the street, Iris.
Oh, it is getting hot, guys, and this is not typical weather for this time of year. We've reached the 90s, and sure, it took us a while to get to those 90s, so that was nice, as we typically see the 90s earlier, but we're about to see the triple digits here in just a few days, and it's a little early to see those, that's for sure, but here we go. 96 degrees today. Already today is going to be about 5 degrees warmer than it was yesterday, with mid to upper 90s expected across the valley. More breezes, more sunshine through the day today, too. Now, right now, it feels really good in case you want to step outside, but that temperature is already bumped back up. We're up to 69 degrees now, again at Phoenix Sky Harbor. So we're going to start to see that temperature climb even quicker these next few days. We'll reach 70 again by 7 a.m., upper 70s by 9 a.m., and then I think we're back into the 80s by 10 o'clock. That puts us in the mid 80s today by as early as 11, and then into the 90s early this afternoon. We'll reach 96 for a high today. Tomorrow, 99, possibly record tying, and then the first triple digits of the year showing up Saturday and Sunday. More record heat possible too, and I'll show you what the 7-day looks like in just a little bit.
Okay, Iris, thank you for that. We do want to get you caught up here with the latest coronavirus numbers here in Arizona. We can tell you more than 5,400 cases are confirmed. 229 people have died because of this in our state, and 73% of those deaths have been Arizonans over the age of 65. 58% of those deaths have been among men. The governor's stay-at-home order is set to expire in 1 week, but it could be modified. Some new projections from our state show that there's a chance that we have not hit the peak just yet, and that could happen as far out as late May or even June. Our Mark Thompson is live. And Mark, there are some growing pressures here for our governor to make an announcement quick.
Yeah, Kayla, good morning to you. A complicated issue, and even this week we saw some protests and backlash from people who want those stay-at-home orders to be lifted, and you got to realize the governor's got to weigh that versus people's personal health and safety, and right now he still hasn't given a definitive answer on when or even how he plans to reopen Arizona.
We're communicating. We're going to continue to communicate as we have information and data that is changing besides the daily tracking. We're going to come out here in front of you. We've showed you where we are. We've showed you what's going to happen between now and May 1st. And we've also showed you the gating criteria, which is going to be the guidelines that will help guide our decision making.
And as we said earlier, the COVID-19 peak here in Arizona could still be a month away, and that impacts the decision on when Arizona could reopen. But again, it's that balance between health and safety versus the very real concern that small businesses may not survive another closure. And we do expect the governor to make a decision early next week. Also of note, Governor Ducey has canceled those conference calls that he was having with the mayors across the state very frequently. Reporting live this morning, Mark Thompson, ABC 15 Arizona. Back to you.
Okay, Mark, thank you for that. The Navajo Nation president is extending the state of emergency there through May 17th now, and it includes overnight and weekend curfews and the closure of most government offices. Officials say cases on the Navajo Nation appear to be flattening out. The numbers show more than 1,200 confirmed cases.
Well, taunted and harassed. We're getting a look at new video showing demonstrators yelling at nurses during Monday's protests near the state capitol.
The Three Stooges here, they're sitting here, and they're here to tell us that COVID-19 is going to kill us all.
I'll tell that all to our nurse friends right now. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, crowds calling for Governor Doug Ducey to lift that stay-at-home order. We did speak with the nurses who went to that rally there, and they said that they wanted to share their side with people and how dangerous they believe this virus still is for our state.
I would hope that it would help them understand that we're there for them, regardless of their political views, regardless of their race. That's what being a nurse is.
Well, the nurses did help a man who was having trouble breathing at that same rally.
Some bad news to share with you from the Labor Department this morning. 4.4 million workers have filed for unemployment claims in the past week. The number of jobs lost in the last few weeks has climbed to more than 25 million. And again, to just give you some perspective here, during the financial crisis of 2008, we lost 8.5 million jobs. Economists believe next week the government will announce that the national unemployment rate will be over 15%. Let's talk about tomorrow. The House is expected to pass the second coronavirus relief package, and that should add another $300 billion to the Paycheck Protection Program, the loans intended to help small business owners. In Arizona, only 1 out of 6 eligible businesses got funding through the Paycheck Protection Program before money ran out. And if you were in the midst of the application process, the president of the Greater Phoenix Economic Council says you should reach out to your banks to find out where your loan stands.
The lenders are going to ultimately hold that. And so if you're not getting the back and forth communication that you desire, that's where I'd recommend you go find an alternative solution, because there's a number of SBA 7A certified banks that are open to new customers.
Okay, some are saying, though, the package is likely not enough. This morning, a spokesperson for the Consumer Banking Association says the majority of this funding is likely already exhausted. It's believed banks have already used that money before it gets passed.
6:06 on a Thursday, the Phoenix City Council has agreed to spend nearly $27 million to support hundreds of families facing homelessness or housing insecurity right now. Now, the city's homeless population jumped 18% in just the last year, and there are fears that the economic impact of the coronavirus will leave thousands more without a place to live.
The City Council, as you heard, will continue to talk about fighting homelessness and affordable housing. We know the challenges we faced before continue, but I am proud of our steps forward.
Well, the money comes from the federal government. $18 million will be used to find additional housing and help pay rent for those who lost their jobs.
Starting next week, first responders in Phoenix will have a coronavirus antibody test made available to them, and it's all thanks to a donation from Phoenix Suns Charities, the organization giving $40,000 to pay for the testing for Phoenix firefighters and police officers. Antibody tests aren't testing for the virus itself, but they can reveal if you've ever been infected. ASU, as we talked about earlier this week, has already offered to provide Phoenix first responders with coronavirus tests. Tonight, the first ever all virtual NFL draft gets underway right here on ABC 15. Here's sports director Craig Fouhy with a preview of what we can all expect.
Commissioner Roger Goodell was a guest on ESPN and was asked about tonight's virtual NFL draft.
People look to us. They look to us for optimism. They look to us for bringing communities together. I think the draft's a great example of that with restoring hope. It's hope for our fans. It's hope for our teams. It's hope for our players. For these young men who are about to start their careers as prospects and players in the NFL. That's what this is all about, and I think we need those diversions. I think we need that focus on the future and that way to bring communities together.
The Arizona Cardinals have the 8th overall pick in tonight's first round of the NFL Draft, which you can watch right here on ABC 15. I talked with College Football Hall of Famer and 2-time Super Bowl champion Mark May to get his take on the draft and what he thinks the Cardinals will do.
What about piping in booze for Roger Goodell when he comes on stage?
I've already got that ready to go, so I can get it on my app. So I think it'll be fun. He wants to make it fun for the fans. And, you know, the one thing about the NFL and Roger Goodell, love him or hate him, you know, he'll have this draft ready to go. It'll go off without a hitch. Even if they have a glitch or two here and there, it'll give us something to talk about. You've got a young quarterback that you drafted last year. He was terrific last year, but he didn't have a lot of help from the offensive line. If you can shore up the offensive line and knock that sack total from, let's say, 50 down to 33, 32, in that area, that's going to make this team probably 3 or 4 more wins down the road just because you're protecting your quarterback, you're not losing yardage.
Be sure to join us the next 3 nights for our NFL post-draft coverage. 2-time Super Bowl champion Mark May will share his candid opinions on the draft, and Colin Harmon will be live at Cardinals headquarters with team and player reaction. It all starts tonight, right after the draft, here on ABC 15.
Well, up next on ABC 15 Mornings, thousands of kids from public and private schools take assessment tests. In this one, though, it's revealing what we all need to be working on as parents with our kids at study time to make sure we end up with better news and better scores later.
Plus, diet detox. Why now might actually be the best time to get yourself and your family on the nutrition train.
ABC 15 Desert Drive Time, sponsored by Accident Law Group.
And here at 6:13, let's take a look at that Desert Drive Time traffic from Accident Law Group and a good-looking shot out of Glendale by Arrowhead Ranch. This is the Loop 101 eastbound. Good to see all that green, right? At 75th Avenue. Things still looking pretty quiet out there, but it is a gorgeous start to this day, Iris. We don't want people to be deceived. This is probably the best time of day to get out, and about. You might want to do that in our evening hours as well, but it is going to be toasty out there.
It is. So yeah, the mornings, this is when being an early bird really does
Yes.
start to pay off. We know it this time of year. We've been so lucky the last few months, right? But now in the next few hours, I think if you get outside, you're going to really enjoy the weather before we heat up even further. And today, a quicker warm up as it's going to be a warmer day overall. Then we've got the triple digits setting in by this weekend, certainly earlier than we typically see those hundreds. And we're in for a long stretch of hundreds with record setting temperatures potentially. And this ridge of high pressure, that's what's to blame for the heat. It's going to set up to our west initially and then eventually build out over our region, bringing the hot weather our way and keeping it around through next week. So through the end of April. Now, again, this morning doesn't feel too bad out there. Our temperatures right now just above freezing in Flagstaff. You've cooled another degree at 33 degrees. It's 46 in Prescott, 50 in Payson, and 58 for you in Globe. Right now, we're at 69 degrees at Phoenix Sky Harbor. The sun, of course, working its way above the horizon just before the top of the hour. So temperatures are going to start to climb now that the sun is up. But right now, we're down to 57 in Gilbert, 55 in Apache Junction. It's 63 in Laveen, 64 in Peoria, and 62 in Deer Valley. So if you want to get out for a walk, maybe a run, know that the next few hours, our temperatures will likely be back into the low 70s by around 7 to 8 o'clock, then upper 70s by 9 a.m., and then it's into the 80s after that. So make sure that you're hydrating, of course, if you're going to be out beyond that. And even if you've got plans to go out maybe later this afternoon and evening, of course, plenty of water is key. Temperatures right now across the valley in the 60s, but by this afternoon, about 30 degrees warmer as we end up in the mid 90s today, mid to upper 90s with some of the warmer spots. Surprise, Peoria up to 97, 96 for a high today in Gilbert. Across the state, near 100 out at Lake Havasu, 81 in Sedona, 70 today in Flagstaff, mid 70s in Show Low. Hey, in today's We're Open Arizona, I want to shout out one of my favorite vegetarian vegan locations. It's in Central Phoenix. It is the Coronado. If you haven't been, you should check them out. Even if you're not vegetarian or vegan and you want to try out some of these great options, they've got cauliflower tacos, mushroom carne asada, and fried guacamole. Can't recommend that enough. It's really good, and their chips are good too. Breezes today with temperatures warming into the mid 90s. If you're going to be ordering takeout food, I think the AC might be coming on in the car as you're driving to go pick up that food. 96 for a high today. Tomorrow could be a record time day with a high of 99. Then we're near record Saturday and Sunday. We could set a new record with a high of 103 with more near record high temperatures next week.
Okay, Iris, thank you for that. Let's get to some more news headlines on this Thursday. His trial is supposed to start in a week, but will the coronavirus pandemic delay Nathan Sutherland's trial again? Sutherland is the former Hacienda healthcare nurse accused of sexually assaulting and impregnating a disabled patient. His trial was originally supposed to begin in February, and it looks like a July trial could be in the works. That's according to some court documents ABC 15 uncovered. There is a hearing scheduled for later this morning at 8:30 where we could find out more about the schedule. A second delay for Lori Daybell's push to get her $1 million bond lowered, this time because of the coronavirus restrictions. Daybell lives behind bars in Idaho, facing charges in connection to her 2 missing children. The siblings haven't been seen since last fall, shortly after the family moved away from the East Valley.
The man in charge of the federal agency working on a coronavirus vaccine has been removed from his position. Dr. Rick Bright claiming he lost his post because he insisted on more rigorous vetting of hydroxychloroquine, the malaria drug that has been touted by President Donald Trump. The first coronavirus stimulus package included grants for colleges to help students struggling financially. The Trump administration releasing guidelines on how to distribute that money. It bars most international students and all students who aren't U.S. citizens from receiving any of that money.
6:18 on this Thursday, a report card for the country just out this morning showing that scores in certain subjects have really taken a hit. Over 42,000 eighth graders took an assessment test for the first time. The test was given on tablets rather than pencil and paper. Scores have dropped for both geography and also history. Scores dropped for also public and private school students, so that didn't seem to matter. Compared to 2014 scores, they were down for white, African American, and Hispanic kids, so down across the board. Well, with all the extra time at home and less of a strict routine, if you want to call it that, kids could find themselves hitting the snack drawer too often, parents as well. Moms are faced with the challenge of teaching and feeding their kids during this pandemic.
Balance, I guess, is just trying to make sure they're getting the good stuff.
The most important and most difficult thing is setting a schedule.
Kids usually do really well with the schedule, especially the younger kids, especially with so much uncertainty right now. Having a little bit of a expectation of what's going to happen throughout the day can be really helpful.
It's best to pair a protein with a fiber, something like an apple and peanut butter, but parents should compromise.
He likes a smoothie. I know he's not going to sit and eat a bowl of strawberries. Just kind of, hey, before you eat anything else, you got to make yourself a smoothie.
Snacking and scrolling go hand in hand, so separate food and screen time.
So try as best you can to have maybe food take place in the kitchen or the dining room or wherever you do your meals, and then screen time is going to be separated from that.
Finally, stay hydrated. Make sure your kids are drinking plenty of water.
Staying hydrated is going to help you feel good physically, stay well, and it's also going to potentially keep you from feeling as hungry. A lot of times if we're dehydrated, we feel hungry and our body's actually thirsty.
All right, so it might seem overwhelming, we get that, but focus on the little wins. The smallest changes can really make the biggest results, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about progress.
That's right. I like that. Some positive perspective there. A local law office taking action to help Valley restaurants in need, how they are teaming up to save jobs and keep places open in Arizona.
Well, keeping firefighters healthy amid the coronavirus pandemic coming up, how the state is preparing for what could be another active wildfire season.
We're open, Arizona. It's our commitment to you to highlight local restaurants that are working to keep our communities fed and people employed across the valley. It's all part of Rebound Arizona, focusing on people, places, and resources to help Arizonans recover from the coronavirus outbreak. So our next story takes us to Chandler, near the Loop 101 and Ray Road, where a neighborhood eatery is getting a generous boost from another local business looking to do some good.
Lucky Lou's American Grill has been part of the Chandler community for quite a while.
We're on year 11 right now, so about 10 and a half years. We'll be 11 years in October.
And they've been feeding their community that American cuisine we all know and love.
Great place to get together, watch a game, get some good American food. Cheeseburgers, sandwiches, chicken sandwiches, just your everyday good local hangout.
Yes, business is not what it was a few weeks ago, like most restaurants right now, but Kyle says the community is really showing up and showing support.
Everyday people calling, asking how we're doing, how the employees are doing, and just the outpour of love from everyone around here has been amazing. So they're keeping the business going, and it's getting better every day.
Recently, they received some big help from Mark and Alexis Breyer of the Husband and Wife Law Team, launching their Heart campaign, helping Arizona restaurants.
Every single order that takes place on the day that restaurant is chosen, 50% of the order is covered by the Husband and Wife Law Team. So everyone who orders gets half off their meal But because we're matching the order, we can drive up to $2,000 from us, but 50% is the other $2,000 for the half off the order, which means we take these restaurants that are slow and they're barely being able to keep people employed, and all of a sudden they're overwhelmed for one great day.
We had people taking phone calls from the front of the house, back in the office. Every phone we had accessible, people were answering it.
To nominate your favorite restaurant, visit briarlaw.com/heart. And if you know of a restaurant doing amazing things, let us know. Fill out the form at abc15.com/open. And for resources on jobs, food, finances, or moments of hope, head to abc15.com/rebound.
Okay, so often we wonder, do things like this really work? Well, guess what? You guys are awesome. We shared last week that Venezia's Pizzeria was hosting an Employee Appreciation Day where 100% of that day's sales would go to employees, and you guys delivered big time. On Facebook, Venezia's Pizzeria sharing that more than $72,000 was raised. And the good news, it doesn't stop there. The pizzeria is also raising employee wages by $2 for the next 8 weeks. Talk about an awesome shot in the arm, Nick. That is great news.
I love that. My sister lives right by there, and her family loves that place.
Yeah, it's so
good.
good.
In the meantime, the man behind Bohemian Rhapsody now turning his attention to another music legend, Whitney Houston. The Oscar-nominated screenwriter is writing the official biopic, which is backed by the singer's estate. Clive Davis has signed on to produce I Want to Dance with Somebody, and it's said to be a joyous, emotional, and sometimes heartbreaking celebration of Houston's life. It's been more than 8 years since we lost Whitney. Still miss her. Voice of an angel.
Yes.
What an icon.
Absolutely. Well, up next here at 6:30, dozens of Valley Assisted Living facilities are dealing with coronavirus cases. And new federal guidelines could mean more transparency for residents and their loved ones.
Hospitals financially impacted by COVID-19 forced to furlough and lay off workers. I'm Mark Thompson. I'll break down the governor's plan to provide relief.